Successful Minds with Patricia Barnowski-Schneider, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Successful Minds with Patricia Barnowski-Schneider is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Patricia Barnowski-Schneider.
Hello and welcome back to Successful Minds. I'm your host, Patty Baranowski-Schneider. Today I'm joined by Lena Tornblom, a business development professional and public speaking coach specializing in empowering non-techy coaches to elevate their businesses with generative AI and efficient automation. She has lots going on, so I'm going to leave it for her to tell you more. So thank you for joining us, Lena. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Lena Tornblom. I live in Stockholm, Sweden. And I've been in the innovator technology business for like many years now, I think since 1992. Yeah, I'm an old lady now. Yeah, but I was an early adopter already in 1992. First I worked at IBM, and then I was creating touch screens for the Swedish Social Security Agency. Wow. As a sole owner, actually. That was really early. That was 7 years before they had it on the central station.
Wow.
So, yeah. And then after that, I went into e-commerce, 96 already with Schibsted, which is still a really big company in newspapers. Okay. And after, the most important things I did after that was when COVID hit. I educated myself to a public speaking coach at year 2000. And then when COVID, and then I was a public speaking coach for some years. And then when COVID hit, I transformed into webinar speaking coach. Okay. And then I went into this automation tools, because we will come back to that later why I did that. And then when ChatGPT came into the world in February this year, I was amazed because I was thinking, because I thought it will be so much easier for sole owners to run their business. So that's kind of my background.
Very nice. Now, can you share with us your journey from being a business development professional to specializing in empowering coaches with AI and automation tools?
Yeah, and it was a bit, it was like, as I have my technology background, it was kind of an easy transfer for me, but I still needed a companion, which I have, a techie Tarzan, I call him, because he helped me when I think this is kind of too techie. And although I'm a techie person, I've been, in this area of expertise for a long time, I was thinking that, other non-techie people would need some help from me and him. So that's the way we just started the business, because I feel so much if you try to run your business and you can't get around the techie stuff, then you just drain yourself out of energy. Yeah,
that's true. Now, what sparked your interest in generative AI and automation, and how did you start implementing it in your work?
But the interest for AI is that as a sole owner, you have different kind of roles. Right. And you're supposed to be as a marketing person, salesperson, accounting, and whatever, support and whatever. And you stress a lot. And in some area you have expertise, and in some areas you are a novice. And with ChatGPT, you can actually be kind of an expert or nearly an expert in all these different roles, and you can automate it. And that way you can, as an entrepreneur, sole owner, you can have a better quality of life, and can be more mindful, and you can get more time to do whatever you love to do. For example, spend more time with your family and friends, or just spend more time transforming lives. So,
right. Yeah, a lot of people they get nervous with it, but like you say, it's really just a matter of taking a lot of the burden off you. So,
I think you can automate at least 50% of your business.
Wow.
Actually,
Can you explain the concept of generative AI efficiency with authenticity? Like, what does this mean to you, and why is it important?
Yeah, it means to me like it's three things. The first thing is like when you generate a content with ChatGPT, it's like kind of a logical, what you call default content, and then you can put your own writing style on top of that.
Right.
You generate the writing style from your manually created text, and then it will be your voice and your style with it. And then you can just apply that on top of the generated content from ChatGPT. And then on top of that, you can do these manual corrections that, change some words. So it really feels like you.
Yeah.
And when it comes to authenticity in, for example, there are some videos now with avatars.
Right.
I don't like them at all, because not in sales anyway, because
Right.
that's not you, not your authentic you. I think you should be on video like we are doing right now.
Right.
And if you are creating a course after you have done the selling, and then you're creating a course, maybe then you can do the avatar thing,
Right.
because then it doesn't matter that much.
Right.
And the third thing is that some people try to clone their voice, and they don't do it correct, and they don't do it, so it will be 100% you, but they still use it for text to speech automations.
Right.
I don't like that. So I have tried to do this text to speech, because if you create a podcast, for example, then
Right.
ChatGPT can create the content together with your writing style, and then you can put that into automation, just produce the podcast. But then it will not be authentically you if you don't do these steps correctly.
Right.
So I think you have to stay with your authenticity and your brand.
Yeah, I think, like you say, I heard even with the avatars and the videos that like certain companies maybe have introductory videos or training videos. By all means, you can do that, because that takes some of the time away from you to have to sit there for an hour talking about, whatever. But really, when it comes to personalization within the company, people want to talk to you. Yeah, so I agree 100%.
Yeah. Anyway, right now, but maybe over time, we get used to talk to these avatars. We've seen these science fiction movies and all that stuff. But right now, for the coming next 5 years at least, I think we need to stay authentic, and we have to be real humans,
right,
too, and have the right combination.
Right. Now, you transitioned from being a public speaking coach to a webinar speaking coach during the COVID-19 pandemic. Can you share some insights from that transition and how it impacted your approach to coaching?
Yeah, that was really hard, because I love to be in a room of 12 smart people and train them in public speaking. And I had no PowerPoint slides, and I was just having conversations and engaging the audience and writing on the whiteboard and flip charts and everything, going around in the room. Right. And I loved it. I felt a flow. Yes, that was really me, my authentic me. And then I was supposed to transform that education style on a webinar. That's really hard.
Yeah,
I had to do so many changes, so I actually gave up that kind of work, because I felt I can't do it, because I didn't want to do these PowerPoint slides and hello, are you sleeping, or what? Where are you? Why don't you talk to me and all that stuff? So I didn't do that anymore. So instead I transformed into an agency, so helping other people, doing one-to-one coaching. How can you be better in your webinar, instead of me doing teaching on the webinar, actually, because I never I never got acquainted with it. So that was crazy.
It is good that people get to see the face when they hear, but nothing replaces personalization, where you can actually see the people, shake hands,
Yeah, and also I felt so, as I have been training people as a public speaking coach, I've been training people who have stage fright. Yeah. And I was just, my heart was kind of, bleeding for those people, for standing in front of this camera and just, how would they feel? So I tried to help those people. But some of those people said, well, it's easier for me. Standing in front of nobody was easier for some people too, but not for me. So it's, it's different how you react on a webinar, and how you can handle it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, as a coach, what are some of the key challenges you see non-techie coaches face when it comes to sales, marketing, and administrative tasks? And how does your approach help address these issues?
Yeah, of course they have these techie barrier of entries, and maybe they give up to it. They get totally drained of energy because it's, I do it the way I always did it. Of course, maybe they don't understand what can be automated. They don't understand what can not be automated so good. So they don't know where to start. So therefore, we have to educate them. So I'm trying to put out some educational material on LinkedIn just to get people to understand what you can do, because they don't naturally search for this, kind of educational content about AI, because it's not, it's not in their heart to do that really. So I think it's like an AI jungle for many people, and actually we're going to start a YouTube channel that is AI. Jane in the AI jungle meeting techie Tarzan.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that would be really funny. And also we're going to do this, Clark Kent and Louis Lane thing, because then you can do these metaphors. That is really, so I've done the script for it really. Okay. So as this will be sent in November, I can reveal it to you.
That's funny.
So
yeah, definitely.
I think we need to have some, actually I was looking for keywords around that. So the people want more humor around this, and, it has to be easier to understand, especially for non-techy people. So I have to have this kind of metaphors.
Yeah, That's cool.
So, yeah.
Now, you mentioned the use of ChatGPT in work. Can you give the listeners an overview of what this technology is and how it benefits coaches?
Yeah, ChatGPT actually democratize AI for non-techy people, because it's within a reach for non-techy people, because you can just write to it like a friend. For me, it's kind of my smartest friend I ever had. I use it every day, several hours a day. So everybody can use it, and that makes me so happy. So, and you just have to learn how to prompt correctly to use it. And what was the question again?
That's okay. Yeah, what is the technology and how can it benefit coaches?
Yeah. So once you start to use it, it will be easy for you to use it once you understand how to prompt, how to instruct. I think you shall not just use any prompts. Like, many people say that this is the best prompt and this and that, but you have to learn how the model works. Then you're going to do better with it. And you can do, if you have a writer's block, you can ask ChatGPT to get the outline for a blog post, for example, or you can ask it also to write the blog post for you, and then you can put your writing style on top of that, and in the end just change and stuff. And then you can automate your administrative tasks for the what do you call the offer and the invoicing, what do you call that procedure? And the reminder and all that stuff, all that what do you call administrative accounting thing. And also you can automate, that's a cool thing, from an opt-in. If some person asks a question on your form on your landing page, then it can go to Google Sheet, and Google Sheet can be connected to ChatGPT and reply with a personalized answer, and that's really cool.
Nice.
That's
yeah. I think a lot of people get nervous with it, and I guess like what you said before, personalizing it, because it's not 100%. It's evolving every day, and that's awesome, but it isn't 100%. It makes mistakes, and the wording might not be how you would word it. So it's always important, because I remember one time I had a link to conferences, and I had to go through each and every one and say, what day was the conference? Like, what was the dates of it? Where was it located? What was it about? But people don't realize this was only set up until, 21? So, I'm not realizing it. I just said, oh, this is going to save me so much time. And it came back with all this information. I could have just been like, okay, thank you, bye. And I looked and I'm like, wait, that's not true at all. Yeah, it was saying it's in Colorado. Meanwhile, it's in Florida. So I went back 3 times, and then I realized, wait, it's not going to have this answer because this is current. So anyway, it can help a lot, but people, I know some people are just lazy and they want to say, okay, it's going to do everything for me. You can't just take what it says and call it a day. You have to.
Yeah, that's true, and I'm glad you mentioned it, because it writes a draft, and then you check the draft, and then you say okay to the draft. That's correct. You have to do that, because definitely. Today it's not good enough to totally automate it.
It'll get there quick, but it's super helpful, and a lot of people, they don't understand it enough, so they just stay away. But it can, for little things, like even with putting a social media post. I can sit here and research and do all this stuff, say what are the appropriate hashtags, blah, blah, blah. That might take me 20 minutes, or it could take me 20 seconds just by asking what's the appropriate hashtags. Bam, there it is. It can definitely save time and help.
Yeah, but you have to do it. You have to do it with caution, right? Because it's not correct answer, but it sounds so correct because ChatGPT has such a self-confidence, and this might be right, but then you can write another prompt and you get another answer. So
and there's so many variations of Chat. When you have ChatGPT, Bard, there's a couple other ones, and one is like it answers a little more personal. It's just they're various, but play around with them, see what works, and definitely don't don't let it be 100%.
Which one is your favorite? Which one is your favorite then?
I actually like the ChatGPT. I've tried some of the other ones where it's a little more personal, but I think it's cool. But I guess for what I'm doing, it's not like I'm writing a letter to my best friend. It's like a business thing, and sometimes that's not good enough. But again, it gives me some ideas, and maybe I can incorporate bits and pieces and make it my own. Which is what you're supposed to do anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, can you share some success stories of transformation you've seen among coaches who've embraced generative AI and automation tools?
Yeah, many coaches have a problem with lead generation, right? So I have a partner in India who does the lead generation from ads to the landing page. But I'm interested in the when people come to your landing page, how can a chatbot help you to convert that to a client, or at least to a qualified lead? Mm-hmm. So then the chatbot, so it's like a customer support pre-selling chatbot. That one I like the most. And I mean, if you look at all the articles from entrepreneur.com or whatever, they say this industry is huge, $300 million or whatever. I don't remember the names, the sum. But it's that can save so much time and increase conversions for sole owners. I think that's the most interesting thing.
Yeah, and it's 24/7, which is amazing because a lot of people, myself included, I don't have a lot of patience. So a lot of times you need customer service, or you want a response to something. And with being an international world, what might be my evening might be somebody else's morning. So if they're looking for a response, having something available, even if it just gets you so far and then says, let me get somebody in touch with you, at least you've acknowledged me. I know you're on top of it, and I know I'm going to get a response. But if I have to wake up at 3:00 in the morning because I need an answer, I'm going to go to somebody else more local to me, so it definitely is good.
Yeah. And before it was like the chatbot was predefined, what you call when you can only ask a particular kind of questions. What do you call that in English? I don't remember. But now when they are fueled with AI, you can ask anything, and then you can train the chatbot just to first reply this question so that you can increase sales. And then it's a kind of a method to do that. That's what Take It Charson does for me. So I'm not involved in that process really.
But hey, if it works.
If it works.
Yeah. Now, with the rise of AI, some people fear the loss of the human touch. So how do you ensure the balance between automation and maintaining a personal style?
Yeah, AI and automation are supposed to be a help, not a replacement. Right. So you have to understand how to collaborate with AI actually. So they are, so for repetitive tasks you can use AI, but if you need I mean, for coaching sessions, you have to be with the human coach. Yeah, but that was what we were supposed to say there.
No, but it is, you know, people want that personal touch. And again, it just goes back to, you know, it's a help, it's not a replacement, because so many people just don't get that, you know.
Yeah, they fear it, but it's a danger also.
Yeah, but it is kind of cool. Like I watch certain TV shows, and like one of them is like a show about hospitals. And they now in the one episode I just saw, they incorporated, you know, some sort of AI version of the medical. So as a doctor's operating, you can see, you know, like a hieroglyphic version of what you're operating on, and it will tell you what to do. But again, these are human programs. So even though it can monitor everything, you know, it would be still like, it's hard to explain, but, you know, it's monitoring, you know, the weight, the blood flow, whatever. And the doctor knows what he's doing. He's been doing this for years. And now the hieroglyphic AI version is telling them, we recommend you go through this artery, you know, and the doctor's like, you're telling me what we're programmed. I'm telling you what I've, you know, so he would do it his own way. So it's kind of like a good show about how this can help you, but it doesn't replace your experience. You know, it can help you. You can listen to what it says and think, okay, would that be the better way? But then you have to go with what works, you know? So it definitely, it's kind of cool how the whole world is embracing it, you know?
Yeah. On the other hand, I heard another story about medical doctors. It was actually that the bot, the patient found that bot was more warm and friendly in the response than the doctor. Yeah. And that was amazing, because I mean the bots are now more human-like, and that's what we're going to see in the future as well.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because it learns you. Yeah, well, it learns you too. Like I love when it'll answer me. It says, "Have a great day," and out of habit, I'm just like, "You too." But then it's like, you know, answer back, "Well, I'm just a bot," you know. But it is funny how it learns how you are. And I agree 100%. They could be friendly. They could put emojis. They're very warm and but like with a doctor, you're true. They will just point blank this. They don't even look at you. It's like point blank. This is what the chart says. Deal with it. You know. But here, it's just try to be compassionate because it's learning how people are. And it always just thinks,
and that's scary
robot.
too.
Yes. I think of iRobot.
I'm like, what will happen then in 10 years when we have taught them how to do it, so how to understand humans?
Yes, I know. This is going to be interesting.
But we can't. You know, It's like a flood. You know, you can't just swim against it. You have to swim with it and learn how to survive it.
Well, just work. I mean, you think about it too. Just people in general, you know, invading other country. I mean, when you think back of, you know, Indians used to run America, and then, you know, Christopher Columbus, you know, you just learn to get along. It just, you can't make people leave. So we're here. Let's just, AI is not going anywhere. Just learn to work together and try to figure out what's the best way to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
Now, speaking of looking at the future, how do you see the role of generative AI and automation in coaching and broader business process evolving?
I believe that nobody can afford to ignore AI. It's it's like a flood. You have to adapt. You have to adapt. I think if you don't, you will be left behind. It's lots of opportunities with AI. You can not only use it for content creation, you can use it as a coach. I use it as my public speaking coach, actually. I get, you know, that's my teacher. And you can use it for business strategy, and you can use it to improve your coaching sessions together with your client, get new ideas around it. So you can actually, if you adapt to this, you can stay on top. You can be the leader of the gang if you do it correctly. And I think also in a couple of years, I don't know when, and nobody knows, it will be more human-like responses, and then a bot can do some part of the coaching sessions that is more, you know, simple, and then the coach can go into the deep sessions together with, you know, with the client. So I think we're going to see that in the future. I think also with AI, you can get the analysis from the sessions, and with the analysis you can improve your coaching practice.
Yeah, I mean, because even with you know, a lot of times how one person sees it isn't how another person sees it. So even if you record your coaching, you know, like I know with YouTube, you can have an hour-long, you know, video, and AI will just give you a synopsis of what the hot points were, or how, you know, how people see it. And sometimes it's important, because maybe what you think the message you're getting across, AI will say, here's the important parts, here's what we're seeing. You're like, wow, really? That's what you're taking from this. I need to redo what I'm doing because I'm not getting the message point the way I think it is. You know, just things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I mean, we as a human, as a coach, you are supposed to be objective, but you are subjective probably. And you can also read the body language and your tone of voice and all that. But if you combine that with the ChatGPT, which is more logical, and, you know, you take the best parts of, you know, a blend of that, then it's going to be perfect, I think.
Yeah. And I like
going to
they
be
say,
really good.
yeah, like when you say like it could give you bits and pieces, because if you had you know, competitors, and you're saying, okay, well, I want to be better than them, but I mean, it could take you hours, days, weeks to find out who everybody is, research them all, watch all this stuff, and then try to, you know, and that's where this comes in, you know, into play, because you can just put in a request and bam, 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 you know, within seconds you have all that, and then that can help you to say, you start your process. Okay, well, here's what everybody else is doing. Here's what I could do to be better, and then you do it, and then you tell ChatGPT, what did you get out of that, and see if you're on the right track. But that saves you so much time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you took up this with the research thing, which also is objective, which is good for ChatGPT, which has the logical brain. And it's really easy to just go out. And now the plugins on the ChatGPT Plus, if you don't have the free, just buy this for $20 a month. It's really worth it. Lots of plugins where you can go out and transcribe, have a transcription of a YouTube video and have a summary of that. Instead of looking for 1 hour, you can just get it and you can read it for during 2 minutes and think, and you get inspired, or you learn things or whatever. So there's so many things, and it's really hard to keep up with it, because every day it comes new tools. So how do you keep up with it?
Well, that was
interviewing people.
No, that's what I was just going to say. It's you know, I try to follow people who are in that space, and that's another thing. On top of trying to follow it, you know, you do get people who post articles, and I'll get things where people will give objectives, where they'll say, you know, they follow it. Here's the top 10 that they found, and the pros and cons, and that. Some of them I've heard of, some of them I'll say never heard of them. Let me check them out. But you know, it's just, I probably get 50 emails a day of all of that on top of everything else. It's just, you know, some of them are repetitive, but there's a lot going on. And it was almost like when Bitcoin first was a big thing, everybody was involved, everybody was talking about, well, that's kind of the same thing. So you have so many people involved, so many people talking about it, but it's good because it's half of it I never heard of. I don't have the time to research all of this. So people in the space, it's helpful when they all post their comments and just say, okay, you know, like I love when they give like the top 10 or the pros and cons. It's like, all right, so that's stuff that maybe I should check out, you know, and I've learned a lot from it. Some are good. It depends on the business too. Some might work for them, really not useful for me. And, you know, hard to keep up with.
But it's really, absolutely. But it's really, really hard to know who knows things about it, because it's a rat race and everybody wants to take a position here. And you don't know which, advice to follow. And you don't know which AI tool to use, because some of the plugins, maybe you also notice that on the plugins on ChatGPT, scrape content or whatever, and it does nothing. And whatever tool I use, and finally they get this, what they call stop, the little round circle with and so don't use it. But so there's lots of crap coming out here too. And that's why it's kind of an AI jungle. How can you know? I want someone who actually tested 10 tools and said, this one, these two were the best one. But they don't. They just have, they take these lists. You can get the list from ChatGPT in 2 seconds. It's not work.
But even with the affiliate marketing, that's another thing. You get a lot of people promoting this, but is that legit, or is it because you're getting a commission off of it? So it's even 10 times more crap.
Yeah, lots of crap, and that's about the future too. I mean, if I was thinking when many people are doing this content created, what do you call ChatGPT generated content, will it be like platforms like LinkedIn will stop all the content that is like 100% or 70% produced with ChatGPT, so they only want the manual work or not? I'm thinking that's part of the future. Yeah. What do you think?
But it is a little tricky with that too, though, because there are programs that you can cut and paste and it'll tell you, is this ChatGPT generated or is it and the funny part is, I'd say 70% of what I've posted myself, it'll tell me it's ChatGPT originated. And I'm like, no, it's not. So
no, it's not.
I know. I'm like, I physically I wrote this myself, but so that's going to be a little tricky with that, because so many things, like I remember I had to do an article and it was the same thing. The person who was publishing it came back and they were like, you told me this, you did this, but they're not accepting it because it's ChatGPT. And I'm like, I can promise you on my kid's life, I wrote that. And it's like, so where do you draw the line? Because I don't know what they're basing it off of, because it says certain words. Well, that's how I talk. I mean, is ChatGPT learning to talk so much like humans that it can't tell the difference anymore? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but it must be really frustrating for someone like you and other people. I mean, you've been written like many books.
Yeah,
I saw them on Amazon. That was way before ChatGPT. So you have, but still, I mean, how would it work? I mean, I heard that there was a demonstration in the US about I have to be able to make a living on my copywriting skills. Did you? Yeah, I saw that news. Yeah, and what can you do about this AI flood? You can't do anything about it. But still, how can we detect if it's manually or ChatGPT written? Yeah. In your case, it was not.
There's three
and people
different
will
platforms.
Be suspicious.
Yeah. There's three different programs that I saw, and I tried in each one. One was fine. One was saying it was like 30% ChatGPT. The other one was 70%, and I'm like, these are all wrong. I mean, the one that said it was, but it says everything wasn't. Even if I took it ChatGPT, it says no, it's totally human. So I don't know. Yeah. Is it ChatGPT programming these? I don't know.
But actually, we had in our newspaper, Swedish newspaper, it was like 1 week ago. It said, it was an article, and it said this article was written by ChatGPT in the bottom. So there wasn't, it wasn't Lena Tornblom. It was ChatGPT who has written it, and that was kind of a what do you call it, a game changer, or it was mind blowing in a way. So maybe that's a start for people to accepting it, but what will the skill be worth? What will my son is 18 years old, and I said to him, you don't have to go to next level in school. You can just stop after high school and just learn ChatGPT and how to handle it, and just learn entrepreneurship, and then you're home safe.
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
Well, I actually read something where it was saying ChatGPT, like, how people go to school to become a doctor and they spent countless years and countless money tuition, and they said ChatGPT, I think it was 1 hour, and it received its medical degree, like in theory received its medical degree. Yeah. And it was like, all right, well then you're true. Why do we have to go to school for all? Because, there's a lot of doctors now using robots to do surgeries and stuff like that. So it's almost like, can you just be like a clerical nurse, and now the computer will tell me what? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it is true. I don't know. And so many people went to school for various skills, but like you said, like copywriters and things like that, they're almost not needed anymore. So that's where I always say, be a lifelong learner, constantly learn new things and different things. Because if you just focus on the one thing you do and that's it, you're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, you have to adapt to the changing environment, and I mean, that's, as a public speaking coach, I mean, people can say, write this as Aristotle would do, or
Right.
as Dan Kennedy or whatever.
Yeah.
So I have to, but I have changed. So I did it a few years ago. But I anyway, I think that automations will just it's a game changer, AI automations, because you can get a higher quality of life, I think.
Yeah. Well, I guess
With it,
that's what
if
it
you
all
adapt.
boils. Yeah. That's
Mm.
pretty much what it all boils down to. You have to accept it, embrace it,
Mm.
know that it's not 100% foolproof, but realize that it can help you to give you some more time to have a life, because it
Yeah.
does save time, but it's not a replacement for humans. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, anyway. We'll see in the future, but we have just to adapt to it right now.
Yeah. And I guess lastly, for the listeners who might not be techie coaches themselves, what advice or actionable tips can you provide to help them start leveraging AI and automation in their work?
Yeah, I think you should, in your business, identify your greatest pain, where it's most time consuming, where your energy getting drained, and then you go to an AI agency and say, can you help me to automate this, and see if that would benefit you the most. And you just start step by step, start small, and just do one thing, and experience the relief you can get from it, really. So if you can get some boring stuff automated and can get more time to transform lives, or spend more time with your family, or just get more peace of mind or whatever, then I'm in love with it.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different, when you try to think of things like that, like any type of business, you could be a librarian who has to put books, and you could say, well, the robot can't physically put the books back. You're right, it can't, but maybe you can ask it, is there an easier way of doing all this? And it might throw at some different things. So you'd be like, wow, I didn't even think about that. That will help. Doctor, when they go and they some of them will put their recording in a little recorder of the patient. Years ago, it would be someone sitting there, transcribing the whole thing. Now you don't have to do any of that.
Speech to text, you meant?
Yeah. I mean, even now, like I'm publishing another book, and I want to have it audio version and then also in Spanish. Years ago, that would have been a whole big fiasco. No, now I can do this all online. Press a few buttons, it transcribes the whole entire thing in Spanish. Another one, I don't have to use my voice. I can use AI voice. It'll give me a whole audio. I mean, it's just insane. Yes, that's saving me money, saving me time.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you clone your voice? So you found it good?
I didn't clone my voice. I actually did another one.
No, you used someone else.
You can use, it's funny. I did one, I had done an avatar. Well, I didn't do it. It was a company that I used, and we did an avatar. You can do one where you do your whole face and the whole bit, and it does a video of you. But this one, you could take a picture of somebody. So there was somebody from London, and I took his picture, and I used a British voice. You get several to choose from. And I forwarded to him, and he was floored. He was like, that sounds exactly like me. And the funny part was, when I did my avatar, people didn't realize it wasn't me. And I even had my grandkids doing it and everything. It was so lifelike. And that's where they were saying this whole thing with like deep fake and stuff like that, where like on the news, you don't know, is that person really saying that? And I actually saw that recently, where somebody on, I think it was Facebook, it was a sponsored ad, but they used Elon Musk. And, if you didn't know any better, I was looking and I'm like, it was Elon Musk saying something, trying to get you to buy this program. And I'm looking and I'm like, that's not him talking. Like you can, if you know what you're looking for. And I'm like, that's like a deep fake, really, but you don't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can see. I think you can see. Yeah, you can see it around the mouth, and you can see kind of your mimic if you really study it. So, but can you reveal which one you used to clone your voice?
Well, I didn't do the voice. I didn't do the voice. Tell you one.
No, you did the avatar, because
the avatar, right? Yeah, I'll tell you.
I did the voice. It was resemble. And it was really cool, because then you couldn't hear my. It was not like me. It was Swedish you couldn't hear any Swedish at all.
Right.
I was like a New Yorker actually, and I was talking like this, like that. And my partner said it was so cool, and I said that's not me anyway. Sorry about it if it wasn't like a New Yorker, but anyway, it wasn't me. So I wanted to have another, the cloning that could really mimic me and all my variations in my tone and all my, not really perfect English thing. So, but we'll see if that happens.
The one that I used was they changed the company name, but when I did it, it was MOVIO.LA or IA. Moveo. They're actually now called HeyGen. They changed their
I know that one. It's actually a plugin in ChatGPT too. HeyGen, yes.
With them,
but you're going to pay for it, of course.
Right. Yeah. Well, you can do the free one, which isn't as great, or you can pay. But I took the cheaper version. There's one that you pay a lot more and you get it really phenomenal. I took the cheaper version, but it's still people didn't believe it. And then the ones with the voice, I don't even remember which one I used. There's several out there. And the funny part is let's just say I have a 300-page book. I might not be able to just feed it 300 pages. I might have to do 25 at a time. But realistically, it's going to take me a couple of days to do this if I had to sit here and physically talk this whole entire thing out. Or it could take me maybe a half hour and I get it done. So it's worth it. It doesn't cost me anything. You pick a voice, it gives you several to choose from. But I did one book like that, didn't publish it audio, but I sent it to people who I know didn't have time to read it. And they loved it. But the funny part was they know me and they were like, it wasn't the same. It wasn't you talking. But it's still, for me, I'm like that. I don't always have time to sit and read a book. So when I'm driving or when I'm traveling, I listen to the audio. It just makes it so much. If I have a 3-hour drive, this makes it so much easier. So it's just another option. And there's so much to choose from nowadays. And I didn't really look for Sweden, but I see so many. It's almost like every language out there. But now,
it's
Spanish
too.
Spanish, there's various versions of Spanish. So, I'm going to pick one, and it might not be 100%. But then again, look at Google Translate. That's not 100% either. It gets you close enough, but it's not 100%.
It will improve. I'm sure, but I use the Descript, but it's harder for me as I'm not as I am native Swedish. It's harder for me to do it, of course, because everything is better in English. And ChatGPT, if I ask in Swedish, it doesn't get the good enough responses. So.
Yeah, because it's just getting.
So that's why my target group. That's why my main target group is actually English speaking in Europe, because it's ChatGPT is not good enough to use in my business in Swedish. Right. So currently.
Yeah, give it time.
You never know. Probably gonna be better.
Nice. I guess anything else you want to tell us or talk about what you're doing?
No, I just want to. I want coaches to embrace AI and the automations because that's going to improve the quality of life. That's just my. I'm totally, convinced that you should do it because it's going to give you a better quality of life, but also that you have to do it.
Yeah.
You can't afford to ignore it.
Right. Now, I guess, well, one, how could people get a hold of you? And two, do you post articles and things like that to help people or give them ideas?
Yeah, I have a LinkedIn profile, of course, and I post articles there. So it's Lena Tornblom at LinkedIn, Lena Tornblom. And I also have a website called aicoaches.se because I'm located in Sweden. And from the beginning, I was supposed to work with Swedish companies. But then I saw that ChatGPT was better for me in English. So then I changed to English.
Around the whole world, might as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
And then I have also a personal website called lenatornblom.com.
Nice.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you again for being on the show. Again, that was Lena Tornblom. So thanks for listening to Successful Minds with Patty B. Never miss an episode by subscribing. So thank you again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for listening to Successful Minds with your host, Patricia Barnowski-Schneider. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we'll see you on the next episode.